Picture waking up tomorrow morning, glancing in the mirror, and seeing something different. Not a huge transformation, but something subtle. Your midsection feels looser. Your thoughts feel sharper. You rested more deeply than you have in months. And all because of one easy change you made today. Not a supplement, not a crazy diet, just a natural liquid you probably already have sitting in your pantry. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I've tried everything. I eat right. I exercise. I control my portions. But the stomach fat refuses to leave. And here's the reality most people never learn. After age 60, stomach fat isn't about how much food you consume. It's about stress hormones, silent inflammation, and a fat-burning switch inside your cells that got flipped off. And the reason it stays off? Most of us have been using one of nature's most incredible tools completely the wrong way. Today, we're going to discuss something you've heard about your entire life, but probably never grasped the way modern science now does. This isn't a trend. It's not a magic solution sold in a bottle with flashy marketing. It's a liquid that's been central to human wellness for thousands of years. But only when you use it the proper way, at the proper time, with the proper type, does it trigger fat loss, reduce cortisol, and even begin clearing out damaged cells in your brain. And the best part? You can notice the difference in as little as 24 hours. So if you've been told your metabolism is simply sluggish because of your age, or that stomach fat is written in your genes, I want you to put that belief aside for the next few minutes. Because what I'm about to reveal could transform how you view your body, your vitality, and your wellness forever. To grasp why this works so effectively, we first need to discuss what's actually happening with resistant stomach fat, particularly after 60, because once you understand the reality, everything else falls into place. You see, most of us grew up believing that if we simply ate less and exercised more, the pounds would disappear. Calories in, calories out, basic arithmetic, right? But here's what scientists have uncovered over the past 2 decades. Stomach fat, particularly the kind that lodges deep inside your abdomen surrounding your organs, isn't caused by overeating. It's caused by ongoing stress, insulin resistance, and subtle inflammation occurring at the cellular level. Let me break down what that means in everyday language. When you're experiencing stress, whether it's emotional, physical, or even invisible stress like restless sleep or blood sugar fluctuations, your body produces a hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol isn't harmful in brief moments. It's designed to help you react to threats. But when cortisol remains high day after day, it begins doing something peculiar. It instructs your body to hold on to fat, especially around your waist. And here's the catch. The fat surrounding your organs, known as visceral fat, contains twice as many receptors for cortisol as fat anywhere else in your body. That's why tension literally expands your belly. But it gets worse. This visceral fat isn't just resting there passively. It's actively inflamed. It secretes chemicals that disrupt your hormones, particularly insulin. Insulin is the hormone that manages your blood sugar, but it's also the primary hormone that determines whether your body stores fat or burns it. When inflammation prevents insulin from functioning correctly, your cells quit responding. They become resistant. And when that occurs, your body switches to fat storage mode, even if you're hardly eating anything. So if you've been criticizing yourself, thinking you simply lack enough willpower or self-control, I need you to understand this. It's not your fault. Your body isn't damaged. It's merely trapped in a cycle driven by stress, inflammation, and broken communication between your hormones and your cells. And the encouraging news? There's a method to break that cycle, a method that's natural, safe, and validated by decades of scientific inquiry. That method involves a liquid you've probably heard celebrated for years but never truly comprehended. I'm talking about olive oil, but not just any olive oil, and certainly not used the way most folks use it. Now, before you brush this off as too basic or think, I already use olive oil, let me explain what science has revealed about this ancient liquid and why it's one of the most potent metabolic instruments available when applied properly. First, olive oil switches on something inside your cells called PPAR alpha. This is a gene that literally turns on fat burning. When PPAR alpha gets activated, your body ramps up fat oxidation. That means it begins extracting stored fat and converting it to energy. It also increases ketone production, which your brain thrives on, and it enhances the performance of your mitochondria, those microscopic power generators inside every cell. And here's the truly thrilling part. It accomplishes all of this while reducing triglycerides, the fats in your bloodstream that contribute to heart disease. This explains why people in Mediterranean areas who consume olive oil daily in liberal quantities tend to remain slim and healthy well into their later years. It's not heredity, it's the oil, but olive oil doesn't end there. In research published back in 2015, scientists discovered that extra virgin olive oil, when eaten with a meal, dramatically lowers the surge in blood sugar and insulin that typically follows eating. It achieves this by enhancing something called GLP-1, a hormone that decelerates how rapidly food exits your stomach and assists in managing blood sugar. You've likely heard about GLP-1 lately because it's the same hormone targeted by trending weight loss medications. But olive oil delivers a comparable advantage naturally, without adverse effects and without a doctor's prescription. What this translates to in real terms is fewer blood sugar dips, reduced hunger between meals, decreased fat storage, and your body enters fat-burning mode much sooner after eating. That's enormous, particularly if you've been battling cravings or that sensation of being hungry even after a complete meal. Now let's discuss cortisol, because this is where olive oil truly excels. Remember how I mentioned chronic stress maintains elevated cortisol and enlarges belly fat? Well, the substances in premium olive oil, particularly something called oleic acid and potent antioxidants called polyphenols, actually assist in controlling your stress response. They accomplish this by nourishing something called the HPA axis, which is the communication highway between your brain and your adrenal glands. When this network is harmonized, cortisol levels naturally decrease. But there's more. Olive oil also strengthens what's called vagal tone. Your vagus nerve functions like the master control for your parasympathetic nervous system, the division of your nervous system in charge of rest, digestion, and healing. When vagal tone is robust, your body recognizes it's safe. It unwinds. It recovers. It burns fat. And research has demonstrated that high polyphenol olive oil can diminish cortisol markers within just several hours of eating it. Then there's inflammation. Chronic subtle inflammation is one of the greatest obstacles to fat loss, energy creation, and graceful aging. It's like a haze that blocks your hormones from signaling properly, but olive oil houses a natural substance, odd name, oleocanthal, that functions almost identically to ibuprofen. It deactivates inflammatory enzymes in your body without any of those negative effects that accompany taking pain relievers. Your liver doesn't need to metabolize it. Your stomach doesn't become irritated. Inflammation decreases, insulin receptors reopen, and fat burning switches back on. And here's one of the most fascinating findings in current research. The polyphenols in the correct variety of olive oil can trigger a process called autophagy, particularly in your brain cells. Autophagy is your body's cellular maintenance team. Picture it this way. Every cell in your body has a shelf life. As time passes, cells become harmed, filled with debris, and cease operating efficiently. If autophagy isn't occurring, those age-damaged cells simply remain there, generating inflammation and sapping your energy. But when autophagy becomes activated, it's like dispatching a crew to remove the garbage, restore what's salvageable, and repurpose the remainder. Your cells begin generating energy again. They begin reacting to your fat-burning hormones again. And this occurs not only in your body, but in your brain, which explains why people frequently describe sharper focus, reduced brain fog, and better memory when they begin using olive oil properly. So if olive oil is this mighty, why isn't everyone enjoying these advantages? Because most people are unwittingly undermining themselves with three crucial errors. The first error is using inferior olive oil. And I regret saying this, but most of the olive oil displayed on grocery shelves isn't what you assume it is. Research suggests that up to 70% of olive oils available are either oxidized, contaminated, or completely fraudulent. Some are diluted with inexpensive seed oils like canola or soybean oil. Some have been resting in transparent plastic containers under store lighting for months, gradually becoming rancid. And when you ingest oxidized oil that's spoiled, it doesn't decrease inflammation, it amplifies it. It doesn't assist you in burning fat. It promotes weight gain, liver burden, and hormone imbalance. So the oil you believed was benefiting you might actually be harming you. And that's why in just a moment, I'm going to reveal precisely what to seek out and even demonstrate a straightforward test you can perform at home to verify if your olive oil is authentic. The second error people commit is assuming they can't cook with olive oil. You've probably encountered this before. Olive oil has a low smoke point, so you should only consume it unheated. And while there's partial validity to the concept that you shouldn't overheat any oil, recent research overturned this belief entirely. A study from New Zealand examined 8 of the most popular cooking oils, everything from extra virgin olive oil to canola, sunflower, grapeseed, and coconut oil. They warmed them progressively up to temperatures around 460 degrees Fahrenheit, and they also deep fried with them for 6 hours continuously. What they were quantifying was something called polar compounds. These are the damaging inflammatory substances that develop when oil degrades under heat. The higher the polar compounds, the more hazardous the oil becomes, potentially even carcinogenic. So which oil generated the most? Grapeseed oil performed worst, followed by canola, then rice bran and sunflower. And which oil generated the fewest of these dangerous compounds? Extra virgin olive oil, even superior to coconut oil, which is a saturated fat and inherently more resistant. Why? Because premium olive oil is shielded by its polyphenols, those identical antioxidants that diminish inflammation in your body, also safeguard the oil itself when it's warmed. So yes, you can cook with olive oil, provided it's genuine organic, early harvest, cold pressed olive oil. You simply don't want to deep fry with it or allow it to smoke, because that will eliminate those valuable polyphenols. The third error, and this one's significant, is consuming olive oil at the incorrect time. See, your body follows natural patterns throughout the day. Your cortisol crests in the morning. Your insulin sensitivity shifts depending on when you eat. Your digestion accelerates and decelerates. If you consume olive oil haphazardly, whenever you think of it, you're bypassing the moments when it can deliver the greatest impact. Timing counts, and that's precisely what we're going to address right now. So let's discuss your new daily routine. The precise method to use olive oil to decrease cortisol, burn fat, and begin feeling better in just one day. First thing in the morning, before you consume anything, I want you to take 1 to 2 tablespoons of premium olive oil, not with food, not following breakfast, before, while you're still in a fasted condition. Why? Because your cortisol naturally surges between 6 and 8 inches in the morning. It's part of your awakening sequence. But if that surge is excessive or persists too long, it establishes the pattern for fat storage, cravings, and anxiety all day long. Consuming olive oil, first thing, softens that cortisol spike. It also enhances your insulin sensitivity from the outset, and it transmits a message to your body that declares, we're secure, we have nourishment, proceed to burn fat. Now, I understand the notion of gulping a spoonful of oil might seem peculiar initially, but here's a technique that simplifies it and makes it even more powerful. Combine your olive oil with a splash of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, just a teaspoon or 2. This pairing does something quite clever. It prompts your liver to generate bile, which is the substance your body employs to decompose and absorb fats. It also initiates digestion and assists detoxification. Plus, it tastes significantly better than plain oil. Some people even describe it as invigorating, almost like a morning elixir. That's your morning practice. Simple, effective, and it requires less than a minute. Now, when you sit down for your meals, whether that's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I want you to combine olive oil with high polyphenol vegetables. See, polyphenols operate synergistically. That means when you merge the polyphenols in olive oil with the polyphenols in specific vegetables, the advantages compound. So pour your olive oil over arugula, red cabbage, broccoli, or fresh herbs like rosemary and oregano. You're assembling what I like to call a fat burn catalyst, a meal that actively instructs your body to activate fat oxidation and suppress inflammation. Here's another effective technique, particularly if you're contending with blood sugar concerns or insulin resistance. Consume 1 tablespoon of olive oil roughly 15 minutes before your biggest meal of the day. For most people, that's dinner. A modest study discovered that doing this decreased the blood sugar surge after eating by up to 35%. It also decreased the insulin surge by 20 to 30%. And it amplified sensations of satisfaction, so you're less inclined to overeat or desire snacks later in the evening. Consider what that implies. You're not limiting food, you're not tallying every calorie, you're merely employing olive oil tactically to help your body handle the meal more efficiently, retain less fat, and feel more content. Now, here's an optional measure, but it's transformative if you wrestle with sleep or evening anxiety. If you find yourself restless or if you awaken at 2 or 3 inches the morning feeling alert and tense, olive oil can assist with that as well. It boosts the movement of an amino acid called tryptophan into your brain. Tryptophan is the foundation for serotonin, your mood-enhancing hormone, which subsequently transforms into melatonin, your sleep hormone. So consuming a modest quantity of olive oil, perhaps just a tablespoon before bed, can reduce nighttime cortisol, minimize those late-night snack urges, and promote deeper, more healing sleep. And if you do awaken in the middle of the night feeling anxious, take another small dose of olive oil. It helps cushion that cortisol spike and can actually help you drift back to sleep more readily. Now, I know you're probably curious, what variety of olive oil should I actually purchase? How do I confirm it's the correct one? Excellent question, because this is where most people stumble. Here's what you're seeking. First, it must be rich in polyphenols. The more polyphenols, the superior. Second, it should be early harvest and cold pressed. This optimizes the antioxidants, but means reduced output for the farmer, so budget brands omit this step. Third, it must be single origin, not mixed. Blended oils are where the deception occurs. That's where seed oils infiltrate. Fourth, it needs to be fresh. Aged oil loses its effectiveness. And fifth, it should arrive in a dark glass container, never plastic or transparent glass, because light destroys those precious polyphenols, and plastic can transfer chemicals into the fat. Here's a straightforward test you can conduct at home right now. Go retrieve your olive oil, pour approximately a tablespoon into a small glass or spoon and consume it like a shot. Don't swallow it immediately. Let it rest on your tongue for a moment, then swallow. What you want to experience is a peppery sensation in the back of your throat. It might even trigger a small cough. Your tongue might feel slightly coated. If that occurs, excellent. You obtained the genuine article. That sensation is the polyphenols. But if your oil slides down smooth, with no heat, no sharpness, no peppery sensation, that's a warning sign. It's either counterfeit, stale, or so depleted of polyphenols that it won't deliver the advantages we've been discussing. So what occurs when you execute all of this correctly? What can you reasonably anticipate? Within the initial 24 hours, most people observe several things. Your belly feels less puffy. You feel steadier, less agitated. Your cognition is crisper. You might observe your digestion improves. Everything simply flows more smoothly. And your body begins activating fat, extracting it from storage and utilizing it for fuel. You won't witness a dramatic shift on the scale in one day, but you'll feel different, lighter, more centered. After 1 week of adhering to this routine, the transformations become more apparent. Your waistline begins reducing, not from fluid loss, but from genuine fat decrease. Your insulin sensitivity enhances, which means your cells begin responding to your hormones again. Your sleep becomes deeper. Your complexion appears healthier. Your energy normalizes throughout the day without dips. And fat loss hastens because your metabolism is finally operating as it should. And all of this is validated by human studies. This isn't speculation. It's not stories. It's quantifiable, reproducible, and it functions. So here's what I want you to comprehend. Your belly isn't resistant because you're making mistakes. It's resistant because it's imprisoned in a loop of elevated cortisol, persistent inflammation, and insulin resistance. That loop doesn't yield to determination. It doesn't yield to eating less. It yields to the correct signals. And olive oil applied correctly at the appropriate times in the appropriate form provides your body precisely those signals. It reduces stress hormones. It restores communication between insulin and your cells. It switches on the genes that burn fat, and it even purges the impaired cells that are decelerating you. This isn't about battling your body. It's about collaborating with it, showing it that it's safe to release that accumulated fat, that it's acceptable to relax, restore, and burn energy the way it did when you were younger. So before you leave, I want to request you do 3 things. First, attempt this routine for just 1 day. 1 morning dose of olive oil with lemon, 1 drizzle over your vegetables, perhaps 1 tablespoon before dinner. That's all. Then return and share how you felt. Did your belly feel flatter? Did you sleep more soundly? Did your mind feel clearer? I sincerely want to hear. Second, if today's information offered you a fresh perspective on your health, tap that like button and subscribe so we can continue discovering together, because your path doesn't conclude here. There's so much more we can investigate about how your body operates and how to help it flourish at any age. And third, pass this along to someone you care about. Maybe a friend who's been fighting stomach fat or depleted energy. maybe a relative who's stressed and can't sleep. This knowledge is too important to keep private. Your body still possesses the capacity to heal, to burn fat, to feel energetic and powerful. It simply requires the proper tools and the proper strategy. And sometimes the most powerful tool is also the simplest. One tablespoon at a time.